Get it rolling. Once I see it's good, I think we straight. Hold on, I'm gonna check my. Yeah. Think we live, brother.
Okay.
Think we live. So my good man, Marcus, how you doing, man?
Feeling good, man. Blessed to be here.
Good, man. You know, I let you guys know it was kind of on the fly. Just reading a lot of the stuff on Facebook, and just hearing what everybody had to say. I was just like, you know what, I gotta talk to my guy, man. I've known this man a very, very long time, man. Very long time. Both our families know each other from, the youth, and not only our youth, but our parents' youth. So I thought that's a thing that I should bring up, especially when we are discussing some of these topics that we're going to discuss today. I just think that's important, just so people can kind of understand a little bit better our viewpoints on some of these things. And, but like I said, welcome everybody. Thank you for being here today. I kind of want to just jump into it because, that's kind of what's been going on. Excuse me one second. I kind of want to jump into, currently what's, going on right now in the world. And it's still a touchy subject. I don't know if you got to watch some of the podcast from last Saturday. But it's very touchy. It's a very important subject to me because I think everybody should, hear a lot of these things so they can understand, just certain viewpoints, and how we were raised, and, just from the youngest age you were taught right from wrong. But now we're starting to see that maybe not everybody, and maybe everybody's right and wrong weren't, equal with other people's, value and what they seen and what right and wrong, is. So with that being said, the protests that have been going on the last week, I know they just, I know they had the memorial on Thursday.
Beautiful.
And then I'm not sure if they had the funeral yet. I'm not sure.
I don't know exactly.
I heard that Floyd Mayweather
He
take
showed
care of
out.
all that.
Yeah, he showed out.
Which was
He definitely showed out.
good thing. But we had some looting too, and I don't even really want to touch on it a whole bunch because there was so much more things going on that was good.
For sure.
But we have to, because some of that led to things that I didn't agree with as far as how the police reacted to it.
For sure.
So I'm going to get into that. The protests were beautiful, well organized.
For sure.
Well
For sure.
organized.
For
like,
sure. Well, I mean, just to jump into that a little bit, I definitely want to shout out Cincinnati Police Department, Chief Isaac. I mean, they're doing a tremendous job, man. He's been spotted, taking a knee, protesting as well. He's been doing a great job keeping the department together as a whole. I mean, it's not just black police officers, there's white police officers.
Right.
And as a brotherhood, so there's a trust factor there, and those guys have to look at each other every day in the face and really understand, I got your back, you got my back,
Right.
And that's deep right now with everything going on. I've seen a lot of black police officers getting a lot of, hate thrown at them, brown nosers, whatever you call it. But it's like, man, that's a job. And no matter what the situation is, they got to go home to a family as well. So, you're right. So I do want to shout out Cincinnati Police Department, but I have seen some crazy stuff. I have seen some wild stuff going on. People using bikes to push people down, pepper spraying anybody, even if they're not even doing anything.
Right.
I mean, and that's,
I just seen the video from like yesterday. I think it went like viral on Twitter and everything. I don't know the man's name because it's not to say it's so many names, but like so many that are going viral, they're not even like injustices now. They're people that have said things or done things or have videos of them. So there was like that 75-year-old man that the cop pushed down. He dropped, and I was like, damn, that's bad. But I didn't even realize how bad it was until like it showed like a picture, like he was bleeding out of his ears, and I'm like,
yeah,
come on, man, like this ain't even necessary. None of that shit is necessary, especially if if you want the people that are protesting to compromise, the police have to compromise. This seems so one-sided on like pushing down. Like that's all. If you want to get any kind of symbolism from any of like this is going on, if you ever noticed, it was a side you were taking. One side was pushing, one side was holding. One side was pushing, one side was holding. Right. Holding for their rights. And this, you got the police that are just pushing down, and justice that's pushing down, and it's like it's hard to want to be on the police's side and take their give them the benefit of the doubt. It's hard to do now, and people still aren't, they're not satisfied, and I think that's what we're getting to as well is just because they arrested those 4 officers, which they did, and they raised the Derek Chauvin
they raised the
to the
charge.
second degree. But even then, I was watching something on CNN, and the I can't think of his name. The gentleman that's actually going to be the prosecuting.
I haven't paid attention.
Can't think of his name, but he said the most you could get with that is like 25 years.
Right.
So people are looking for a little bit longer than that. I think.
I seen a spin on that a little bit today. Somebody was saying that if you pushed for first-degree murder, that there was a chance that there wasn't enough evidence to get that.
Harder to prove, and he would win. So, I understand.
So there's a certain level. I mean, obviously, there's a prosecution and everything else, but it's hard to really know where exactly you need to place that level of degree of murder.
This is this is how I would solve that problem. This is obviously a special case. This is special kind of case.
For sure.
So what I would do is I would recommend to the judge, I would say, hey, you could either go 3rd degree and do this, but it's good that it's on 2nd degree because that means they have more evidence. That means there's more to it, and they know that. So what I would do, 2nd degree murder, 25 years. I will put in a recommendation for an extra 25 years. You could do it that way without going for the 1st degree.
For sure.
Now, I'm not sure how that works, but I know these are special circumstances. So,
well, I know there's a lot that's going to play into that. So I was reading a little bit today that this man happened to have 15 conduct, marks on his record. As a police officer, 19 years or 14 years, however long it's been, long enough.
Yeah.
But it has 15 misconduct, penalties on his cop record. And I think that that's a part of what people are protesting and fighting for right now is that how did this man happen to get on top of George Floyd's back and have 15 marks on his record prior without some type of penalty, some type of suspension, some type of firing. I mean, that's the accountability I think people are looking for.
Or some type of, at least you need to take a class, sir.
Yeah.
Because obviously something is wrong with you.
Sure.
To the point where you keep doing this over and over. Check this out. So when we were in school when we were younger, and you always had the one kid that got in trouble over and over and over again. What they eventually start doing to them, they start sending them to the white building, different school. So they put them in a position where they could build them back up.
For sure.
And it worked for some.
Job corps, something like that, trade school.
Didn't work for some, but it did work for a lot, So, so we do it there. But when it comes to our own police, we don't even do that.
For sure.
We don't hold them accountable enough, in my opinion. But that would be somewhere I would start. I'd be like, hey,
well, check this out. So I mean, the two cops. There was an African American gentleman and then another white cop. That were 4 days on the job with that precinct or police department.
Yeah.
You know, the one guy said today in his opening trial or testimony or whatever it is, pre-trial, pre-hearing, whatever, you know, said something to the effect of, I was just following the veteran cop who I was with that day. I was just following his orders.
Yeah.
You know, I kept, you know, I'm 4 days in this job.
Right.
I'm 26 years old. I'm just following commands and kind of doing I'm going with the flow, you know, and I'm not saying he was right or wrong. So this isn't a, you know, but I'm just saying that was, you know, I'm thinking about that. So again, when we talk about the reform of what the police are doing and how their procedures and protocols are, you got these veteran guys who happen to have, and the Asian gentleman who was kind of standing in the front of the video, kind of just blocking off. Yeah. He's got 9 or 10 different penalties on his record as a 10-year, 9-year cop.
I didn't know that.
Absolutely. I mean, he's got, so technically, the Chauvin guy has shot someone.
Yeah.
He has shot another person where there was multiple
police. I think they shot him. How many times? They shot him like 40 times.
They shot a guy a bunch of times. You know, and the guy did have the guy had a shotgun, swung it their way, so the story goes. But there was multiple cops shooting multiple rounds. And then he did shoot a woman at a domestic violence case. So this guy has shot people before. And then I was reading that he was, you know, doing some detail work at a club, and the club owner was saying that she has told this guy multiple times that he was unnecessarily rough, kind of just the way he handled things, and she literally, quote unquote, said he would just lose it. I mean, and that's just working detail at the club. I mean, that's not hardcore cop work. I mean, you're just putting people in and out and making sure people are of age. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not that serious, but you're in there playing big guy. So, I mean, this guy, again, needed some type of reform, but then back to these guys who were 4 days on the job. You know, what type of training did they have that they were just, I'm just going to follow the veteran cop's role?
Exactly.
I mean, no, follow what you were trained, son. Follow what you were trained to do.
I mean, not to take away from it or act like, you know, just for the fun of it, but you know, you see some of those movies, cop movies, and you got the young cop that goes on a ride with the older cop, and he's telling him not to do this and that.
Sure.
And the young cop's trying to go by protocol, and the older cop ain't.
The training day effect.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, you don't think that shit is happening right now?
For sure.
I think it is. So,
for sure.
You know, they pushing down on them. You know, they got a union, man. Those
for
dudes,
sure.
they're tight. They're super tight,
for
you
sure.
know, regardless if they're right or they're wrong.
For sure.
And I think that's what has a menacing effect on it, because it's part of the problem, and that's within. So, I mean, do you throw internal affairs at it? Do you create a new?
There's got to be some type of funding that can be put into the training of all academy personnel.
So a good thing that's going on right now is the protests have brought that up to discussion, and now they're defunding the police. You know, they're taking away and putting it more into community relations, putting it into the community.
For sure.
You know, LAPD's getting almost $1.5 billion budget.
Right.
Come on, man. That's not necessary.
Right.
It's big. Yes, the city's big, but come on, bro. Like, we can, if you just put that money somewhere else, it might help you not even have to use as much money for something that's bad that's going on there. You know, you can prevent these things from happening. Sure. We want to prevent all this stuff from happening, from the racism, from what happened to George Floyd, to any other kind of, you know, violence that goes on in cities. You know, we want to try to prevent all that. So if that means defunding the police a little bit, demilitarizing the police a little bit, so be it. It needs to happen, because you know, they buy all this gear. They get all this gear funded by the government.
For sure.
And they get all this you know, this riot gear, these Humvees and all this stuff. And this is the time they use it. And they're like, you know what? We're going to get our use out of this, because we don't get to use this so often. So
yeah, they unlock the whole battle pass on it. You know what I mean?
It's crazy. So I disagree with doing all that, man. Like, this the macing, like they sprayed the kid, the cop that pointed the gun at the child on the kid's
wild.
shoulder,
That's
man. Like,
wild,
I just think of that as me. If that was me and my son, like, what the hell, man? Like,
well, you know, and I think that's a good imaging of like how overboard some of these cops
yeah,
are. You
like
know,
people need to relax.
I
Like,
get it if you've
chill.
been ordered to clear the streets,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because it makes logical sense for a police officer to have an order of make sure these people go from this point to that point. Do not let them pass this. I mean, that makes sense, right? I mean, the military does it all the time. Block this off. However, you don't need to point a gun, tear gas gun, grenade gun, whatever it might have been at a child on somebody's shoulders. I mean, that's way out of line.
Even the girl that got sprayed and they're trying to put the milk in her eyes, and I feel so bad, man. And it's
I've seen people hit with rubber bullets,
man, all that in the forehead. I'm like, that shit is dangerous. Like, excuse my language, but that shit is dangerous.
It is.
It's not something cool to do to somebody, man. I seen one where they hit it. Like, those are supposed to be shot from far distances. They're shooting these people from point blank range.
Yeah.
You can't
lethal.
do that.
Right.
You know? And, you know, rest her soul, I can't remember the woman's name, but she was protesting and she died of asthma from the tear gas yesterday.
Yep, I saw that. Wifey told me about that.
That's unnecessary.
Yep.
That doesn't need to be used to calm crowds,
for sure.
Especially when they're peacefully protesting.
For sure.
So that's kind of what has
it's
me
tough.
here, man.
It's
I'm
tough.
like,
one of the biggest things I've been saying, man, is you know, it's a fact that we could die by a cop. It's a fact now. Unfortunately, it's a thing. It's a fact that if we go down and protest, there's a chance we get tear gassed or pushed around or thrown down.
Yep, arrested.
Anything. I've seen some of my, you know, and shout out to everybody that's protesting.
Yeah,
man,
absolutely, man.
Shout out to everybody that's expressing their feelings and standing for what they believe in and protesting, you know, and you know, hopefully no one goes down and gets hurt.
Right.
I don't want to see anyone hurt or upset, but
absolutely.
But there is a chance that things get ugly, you know, and what I think, you know, the biggest takeaway from this having 3 sons is that we've got to teach each other. We've got to educate each other.
Right.
We've got to get smart, and we've got to actually exercise our rights of freedom. You know, if you have the eligibility to get a CCW or a conceal and carry, or just grab a gun, period. Ohio's an open carry state. You're allowed to have a gun in your home. Yeah. But exercise those rights, you know, and protect yourself. You know,
absolutely.
I tell people, if you dial 911, something bad has already happened. Right. So when you say the people that are supposed to be protecting us are killing us, they're not really protecting us if they showing up after the fact. Right. So
prevent these things from happening.
So let's get smart.
What it gets back to.
Let's teach our kids, man. I want to talk about something deep real quick. Shout out Dr. Baker. But Dr. Baker's from Detroit. One of my mentors, one of my brothers. And, you know, he said growing up in Detroit in the 80s and the 90s, his dad would tell him every day before he left, he said, the goal is to come home. The goal is to come home, son. Make sure you come home alive no matter what. And that really hit me tough, man. I mean, I got 3 boys. And, you know, and Detroit's been, you know, you hear all kind of stuff about Detroit, man. You know, it's tough growing up there, cop brutality, police brutality, you know, gang violence, just a tough place to grow up. Right. You know, so overall, when I'm looking at that, I'm like, man, that's deep. You know, am I looking at my boys every day saying, come home alive, no matter what. If you're detained by a police officer, please be compliant enough to let me come down and do the talking.
They have every right to, you know.
Let yourself live to see another day. You know, and try to. And I'm not saying that innocent people don't die. And I'm not saying that anyone's deserved any of this, because nobody ever deserves to lose their life on any of these occasions. But let's equip our children and our youth with the tools to try to avoid these situations. Right.
Absolutely.
And that's all I can ask for. It's just that we protect ourselves and we teach our youth.
And you as a father, like, you know, it's another reason I brought you on here, because, you know, you are a father.
For sure.
So have you spoke to them about what's going on?
Man, you know what? I haven't. You know, my 7-year-old is great, wonderful, smart, intelligent boy, but he's just not there yet mentally.
Have you ever had the conversation?
I don't think he knows what's going on, so I haven't brought it up. you know, but there's times where we've talked about them being police officers. You know, I've been like any other parent. What are you going to do when you grow up?
Right.
And he'll say, I'll be a police officer.
Right.
And I've never deterred him from that. I'm always like, man, that's great, son. That's awesome. If that's what you want to do, I'll support that.
Right.
Because I don't have any negativity to give him for that. However, some people do, and that's the other thing, you know. And I'm not saying tell your kids that police are innocent and police are great, but I'm also saying don't breed the negativity if it's not there. Now, if your kid has an experience, and if they're getting ready to go into some things, right? My kids aren't into middle school or high school or anything like that yet, where things really get deep. You know, they're still in first, second grade, that type of thing.
Right,
so,
right.
And I'm not saying you can't
Absolutely.
experience it.
Absolutely.
But they're just not there yet, right? So my sons love all of their friends, no matter what color they are.
And that's the beautiful thing about kids
I love that. I love that.
After, you know, when they're very young, they're at their most purest form.
Man,
like you love whoever for whoever they are, you know, whomever they are.
Absolutely.
Which is a beautiful thing. You know,
Absolutely.
it's a great thing to see. I hope to experience that. And yeah, it's interesting because, you know, I see some people that they have their children out there protesting. Some are pretty young. Some aren't, you know, they're about 13, 12. You know, I've seen some younger ones, like a, you know, 6-year-old marching. And it's good, though, because it's not like you can hide this kind of thing from them, you know. And eventually, you know, you always have, like, your first, you know, experience with racism being if you're black, biracial, any sort of color. You'll have that first experience, and sometimes it's hard to forget, and it sucks because from that point on, your life changes, you know, and that's why, you know, I respect your decision not to do that, because you want them to be as wholesome as possible, which is a good thing, you know.
For sure.
Plus, you know, they're being raised by a great man, and
appreciate that.
He will explain to them everything, you know.
Absolutely.
It's nothing to be really worried about.
Absolutely.
So, you know, with that being said, I kind of want to get into, you know, while we're kind of on kids and how they're, you know, explain these type of things, you know, like these big conversations you have with your parents, you know, about big topics, you know. So let's kind of get into what Drew Brees said a little bit. It was unfortunate because I think Drew Brees is a stand-up guy.
Absolutely, man. Golly.
You throw on top of that, he's number one in a lot of these whatever record books in the NFL, and
sure.
That's cool. But, you know, when he said what he said about, you know, the protests, about the kneeling, especially what's going on right now, you got to kind of be mindful of what's going on. You're an athlete. You're making millions of dollars. You got to at least be mindful. You got a good publicist. But he decided to say he disagreed with it, and he threw in that his grandfathers fought in World War II side by side, and that he felt that disrespected the flag. So with that being said, that's a thing that he believes, even though he's apologized about it. But I'm sure that's something that, you know, he's instilled that mindset in his children already, and they're pretty young. But, you know, I'm sure these parents probably try to have conversations about, hey, if someone ever tells you not to do this with the flag, do this. You know, I'm sure there's conversations in white homes about stuff like that.
Well, see, I think there's a big misconception with what's actually happening when someone kneels during the national anthem, correct? So what happens is we have these athletes who kneel during the national anthem, and it happens to be the same time that the flag is being displayed. They're not kneeling in disrespect to the flag. They're kneeling in protest to what's currently happening right now.
And the flag is a representation of that.
Sure.
So that's
the
why
national anthem of the United States.
That's
so
why we kneel.
It's a timing thing. It's a platform thing.
Right.
It's appropriate for if I'm trying to protest. I've seen a lot of memes. A lot of people say things like, "Man, this was peaceful here when Colin Kaepernick was kneeling. Now we got the issues we got today, and it's not so peaceful."
Right.
It makes sense, right? Because it's like, man, you guys didn't recognize, but I think they're still not recognizing.
Still not understanding.
Sure.
Still not understanding.
Still not getting it.
And it's something so. How do you bring the Green Beret, the guy that he discussed this with? It came about it because they used to just sit on the bench, which was disrespectful. So they said, "What is a way to show respect?" And that's by kneeling. Kneeling is a sign of respect. So in a sense, it's being respectful, but we are still having problems here with police brutality, injustice against Black Americans in the United States of America. And that's what that means.
Yep.
I don't know how many times the person that started this can tell you. If you want to know what it means, I would go to the source. I wouldn't ask other people that are doing it. I would ask Colin Kaepernick and get a simple answer. You know, it wasn't like he's been like a B-list quarterback. I mean, he went to the Super Bowl, so you got to respect him. You got to respect his game as well as, you know, what he's fighting for off the field.
Right.
And I don't think Drew Brees realizes that, and I still don't think he realizes that, even though he apologized. So that's probably, you know, he came up a certain type of way. Rich mom, rich dad, you know, very Christian, you know, and that's the thing. Like, he's a good guy, man. He's won NFL Man of the Year in like 06, I believe, 03 or 06. He won it then when we, you know, with the Katrina and things, and he donated.
He had a lot going on.
He donated a lot of money.
He was the man in New Orleans.
You know, so I get it from one perspective, but you still have to realize, Mr. Breeze, that this stuff is going on, and this stuff has been going on, and for you to say, you know, my grandfathers fought. That's the way you compel this argument. It's stupid, and it's ignorant, because guess what? Next to your grandfathers, there were Black soldiers who were coming home and weren't going to get any money.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They were getting mistreated. They were getting killed, lynched, and they were still fighting side by side with your white grandfathers.
For sure.
You know, helping them in battle no matter what. Didn't matter what color they were. And then they come home and they don't get equal rights.
Yep. Well, no, and I want.
So that's what his grandfathers fought in. But that's what he needs to realize.
Yep.
And it's just it sucks because he's a great guy.
Yeah,
Great
absolutely.
guy. I think he's a great guy.
You know, and sometimes, man, I mean, everybody has the right to their own opinion, correct? You know,
absolutely.
Everybody's grandfather was this and grandfather was that, and families came up a different way. But what I think is important is that knowing when it's appropriate and when it's not.
Absolutely.
Knowing what men you play on the field with. You know, you got Michael Thomas,
absolutely,
high profile gentlemen,
and they've been speaking out.
Yeah,
they've been speaking out about it.
I mean, and that's why he apologized, right? I mean, because the franchise
he
was
has
like,
to.
Bruh.
And New Orleans is a so like diverse culture. It's about the culture of New Orleans, and it ain't about nothing else. That's what makes that city New Orleans.
Right.
So you know, you start doing that, and you're done. And that's why people have been talking about, should he even come back now, based off all the things he said. I don't know. You know, if he doesn't decide to come back, that's on him. He still made the mistake. I think you're a veteran, and you shouldn't have said anything like that.
For sure. No,
that's just me personally.
It's knowing when it's appropriate. You know,
it's unacceptable.
Absolutely.
It's unacceptable.
Knowing when it's right and when it's wrong. If you're talking to your wife, that's one thing. But, man, you got teammates that really feel strongly about things like that, an organization and a whole city.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen a lot of people saying, man, you represent New Orleans.
Right.
You know, rather you the quarterback,
you're
mayor,
the face of New
Orleans,
matter, man.
That's, it's emotional for people, man.
Yeah, man. That sucks, man. But let me get into another gentleman. Jake Fromm, he just got drafted by the Bills. Another instance, white quarterback, and you know his text got leaked from a female friend, and I believe it was on the lines of
I've seen some of it.
Only elite white people can get them, and that was into
the suppressors and stuff,
talking about guns and stuff like that.
Right.
Hey, buddy. That ain't right.
No, it isn't.
It's not.
The difference between that and what Drew Brees did was that he had trusted within that female to text her and that it would be okay.
And that was a 2019 text.
And she exposed him when things got hot, right?
But it doesn't
make it right. And it is foul. And you are now in the NFL. So we really
you gotta
saw
be
your true colors.
responsible.
We
Yeah,
saw your true colors,
you have
bro.
to be. And you went to Georgia, bro. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, so
Oh yeah.
that
Absolutely.
it doesn't make any sense to me why he would be saying that then and why he would be thinking of that now. But you know, something hit that woman. Something. I mean, she obviously remembered it. If it was from 2019, she had it still. And with all this going on, I think it just I think, and that's what I think is going on around all of America. A lot of white people are starting to, you know, kind of wake up, and they're like, you know what, this isn't right, and hey, this is the problem right here. We need to start addressing this and fixing this, and I applaud that.
For sure.
You know, I respect that, and she's not a, you know, she's got a Twitter, and she's all about this. You know, she's fighting the fight. You know, which I appreciate.
For sure.
And I appreciate all, you know, people that aren't, you know, black, you know, especially.
Well, I mean, I want to
put
one thing on the record, and people know this about me, but we both come from interracial families.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I mean, and that's we've seen the best of both in both.
Yes, absolutely.
I've seen good and bad white. I've seen good and bad black.
Yep.
And I've seen awesome and amazing love between the two.
Yep, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
We've seen that.
Absolutely.
So when people listen to this and they see this, and they, you know, hear our feelings, man, I want everybody to know that we're biracial children, you know, and we come from families that have had both. And I think we've seen some really positive energy.
Yeah, I've seen great energy. I've seen people fighting for me, which I appreciate with other family.
Absolutely,
that's a powerful thing to do things like that.
For sure.
So, you know, it feels good, and you know they check up on you, and you know, especially times like this. Hey, I love you. You know,
sure.
That means a lot.
For sure,
that means a lot to me. Hey, I'm
Absolutely.
checking up on you. Hey, everything you saying is right. You know, this ain't right.
Yes,
and some people have been fighting this fight a long time, brother.
Absolutely.
That aren't even, you know, just white people.
Absolutely.
They've been fighting this fight a long time.
I'll tell you what, know? Man, I've seen some powerful stuff, man, and there's a lot of positivity coming from this. I've seen some really good group interaction.
Yep.
A lot of unification between whatever race it might be.
Yep.
But what I thought was great is that I saw some younger generation Caucasians that were really like, what is this, man? What are we doing? Now, we know that our parents and their parents and our great-grandparents that lived through the 40s, 50s, 60s and all that good stuff, we know what they did. However, we're so far away from that. Are we really serious? And I really appreciate that, because it's almost getting to the point where it's like, man, we can really start to mold and craft a new way and a new ideology, man, of kind of how we've been dealing with things.
Because I think that's part of the problem is the ideology, and it starts so young. And they just think, you know, some think they're more superior to another person based off their skin color, which is wrong.
For sure.
So, you know, and then there's others that become that based off of something might have happened with a particular person of color that they didn't like, or, you know. So, I mean, I believe people are redeemable, but it comes a certain point in time in your life where, man, you're grown. You know, you're making these kind of decisions, saying these kind of things. You should know better.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's why Jake Fromm is kind of paying for it right now. Luckily, I don't even want to say luckily for him, but because, you know, we still have this COVID-19 situation going on, he doesn't really have to go in the locker room and talk to these guys.
Right.
He gets the benefit of speaking over a Zoom meeting call to his people. Yep. So he doesn't really have to stand in front of his black brothers and say this stuff.
And be accountable.
But, my friend, when you get to that locker room, when this preseason start,
put the gloves on.
Oh yeah, you're gonna go back. You gonna go back for a set, and that lineman gonna move out the way.
Yeah,
and they gonna smack you.
Come on through.
And they gonna say, all right,
apology
accepted.
Yeah,
that's how they going. That's how they handle things in sports, in the NFL and in the NBA, everywhere. You know,
for sure.
So. Yeah, man, with that being said, you know, it's unfortunate that he said those things, but I don't know, man. It's just it's wild times that all this stuff is going on right now.
For sure.
You know, and it just all happens to be happening, you know, right now. You know, it seems surreal, you know, like everything that's going on with injustice, and now the protests are just reaching everywhere. Overseas, they're protesting. I seen John Boyega protesting in London. Like,
oh yeah,
it's really hitting him hard, man. And he's telling people straight up, like, I'm fed up, man. Like, and I think a lot of people are, fed up. We're all tired. Like, this is not right. You shouldn't be doing this to an innocent black man, even if he's not innocent. And he stole a candy bar, or he had a fake $20 bill. You're not the judge. You don't get to sentence him.
Yeah, don't take that.
That's what the
court away.
That's what the system is for.
For sure.
For
sure. Well, and that's back to the training and the reform. I know.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was explaining this to my wife. Is that everybody knows in any wrestling technique, combat technique, pinning solution, you pin with your legs and your knees, right? Typically, they grab someone's arm, pin behind the shoulder kind of thing, get your arms behind your back.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never heard of someone putting their knee on somebody's neck for 9 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's different. He was handcuffed. So, and I'm no expert, so I don't want to sound like one, but I know that if someone's handcuffed, sit them up. If they're a flight risk, cuff their legs. Past that point, man, they can do all they want. They're not going to get far.
They have 5 cops. I mean, you shouldn't be a flight risk, first off.
Man, don't get me started.
I think John Jones even said, like, the move, I mean, like, what he was doing to him is illegal in the UFC. You're not even allowed to do that. That kind of choke.
Technically,
you're not even allowed to choke nobody, period.
Yeah, you should never have your knee on anyone's neck.
That could leave long effects on people, like choking people a certain type of way. Like,
right.
It's just mind blowing, man. Like, it's hard to believe.
It's crazy how long they sat on that guy, and he was already cuffed.
And now they're trying to throw out there that he had coronavirus.
Man, everybody got corona. I got coronavirus. No, I don't have coronavirus. But everybody got coronavirus according to the CDC.
Yeah,
I'm tired of it, man. Now, I'm not saying it's not real. And we do need to protect ourselves.
It's just don't make no damn sense.
Yeah, they
bro.
just saying anything.
It don't make
bro.
no damn
They're
sense.
Just saying anything.
And if he, I don't want to believe it.
Yeah,
I don't want to believe it.
No, I don't even care about the coronavirus as
and
far as he goes.
If he has it, then test all 4 of those police officers. Let's see if they have it.
They sat on his neck, flat out, man. If he had coronavirus or not, they sat on his neck.
Yeah.
And the guy had 15 penalties on his record, and so did the other cop. And the other cops were 4 days on the job, inexperienced. I mean, it was just a terrible setup from the get go.
Yeah, and that's just, I don't think that's fair, man.
No, it was a terrible setup. We need more training. We need more process.
We need more justice.
Some reform. Yeah.
And we're not done yet. And that's the thing I keep telling people, like, y'all better get in on this now, man. Like, get comfortable, because this ain't going nowhere. None of this stuff is going anywhere.
No. And it's stronger than ever now, man. There's more cameras. There's more action.
Now they're trying to get justice for Breonna Taylor.
Yeah.
It's coming, dog.
Yeah,
like,
there's
a lot of cops, if they done did something or had one of them videos that went viral and then kind of got swept under the rug.
For sure.
Big dog.
For sure.
They coming back.
Yeah,
they coming back, and they're not gonna stop, bro.
Yeah.
They'll keep on growing, because I see it every day. I see new stuff. I'm like, wow. They're even bringing back up the Sam DuBose trial, and I'm like, man, this is
it's wild.
Happens everywhere, and it's disgusting. That you even got to worry about that kind of thing.
For sure.
Just being detained the right way. It's not that hard.
Right.
As I discussed in my last episode, he got arrested down the street. He walked peacefully right down the street, and out of nowhere he drops to his knees, and then they choke him to death for 9 minutes, 8 minutes and 47 seconds. That wasn't fair to him. He didn't deserve to go out that way.
No.
And now you got the president using his death against the people that are protesting. Looking down, talking about looking down. He would be pleased with the jobs that people are getting now. Like, it's coming off really weird.
Yeah,
if you ask me.
It's really terrible what he said.
I don't even have to get into the kind of person
weird.
I feel like he is in my personal politics, but just something like that. It's like, hey, relax a little bit, man. Like, this family just lost a father, a brother, a son. Give them the respect they need. Yeah, big person in the community, like, known everywhere. Big Floyd. You know what I mean?
You know,
Like,
it's crazy.
give
how
that man some respect.
I saw a video by The Rock, Mr. Johnson, man, and he said to the leader, to Trump, "Where are you? Where are you?"
Hiding in that damn bunker.
And when he says, "Where are you?" It's not like, man, we know where you at. But what are you doing?
What are you
man?
doing?
What are you doing?
He's
what are
not
you
doing
saying?
nothing, bro. He's already on his campaign shit, man. And that's what pisses me off, man. All these new companies were, and that's what I love, though. It pisses me off, but I love it. Now we're figuring out, like, Wendy's, $400 million to Trump campaign. I always knew about Chick-fil-A, but all these other stores, you know, like Walmart and these places are donating to him. So it's like, you know, we're starting to wake up a little bit, and we're already seeing what's going on behind the scenes with these people donating to him. So it's like the end goal that people want is him out of office.
Right.
It's gonna be it's the fact of getting people to go out, vote. It's a damn shame we still saying that. I'm 29 years old. I'll be 30 next year, and we're still having to tell people to get out and go vote.
Absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
There is voter suppression. It's a such thing, and it's happening in our communities, and you can see why.
Another thing, and I'm glad you brought that up, because when I talk about educating ourselves and speaking to our youths and doing these things, man, you know, I'm talking about going and voting. There's local things that can go in our favor that we don't even vote for. We think it's all about the election.
Right.
You know, and what I do know is it's factual that when Barack Obama ran for president, we had the largest African-American turnout in history. And why? Because there was a chance that a black man could become the president.
They were out there, man.
Let's do that
so
every
thick.
campaign, regardless if
we
it's
just
Obama or not. Let's figure out who is beneficial to our community, and if they're not beneficial to our community, let's figure out who's more devastating.
So why didn't Hillary
Let's make a
work
decision
then?
one way or another.
If you don't mind me asking, why don't you think Hillary worked? Because she would have been the first female president. You got the emails and everything goes along with it. The Russia hacking and whatnot. You know, I understand all that's going on. It's still going on. I think it's not going to stop.
I think Trump's a big boy with that money. We all know that.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that the Clintons are big boy money as well. However, I don't know how far they're willing to go. Now, I've seen a lot of conspiracy things. They killing people, bodies, this and that. But, man, Trump, big boy. Trump is Trump.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, Russia, you don't know what other countries are conspiring with this. But, you know, if you get a whole other country, as per Russia, on your team, it's hard to get two countries.
Yeah, funding and everything.
Oh, man, they was flooding and stuff. And who knows if it's not rigged or not, man. And I'm not saying, you know, Hillary would have been better or not for us. But it's one of those things, man, because a lot of people talk about Obama, right? And I think with Obama, it was a passionate thing. It was an emotional thing. It felt good when he spoke.
Right.
You got the warm and fuzzy, and when Trump speaks, it's painful, man. It's negative and it's derogatory,
right?
And it's hard to fathom his filthy richness.
Yeah.
So
I think people are starting to realize now. They should have been realized, but even a lot of white people are like, whoa, we made a big mistake. This guy has no idea what he's doing.
But on the flip side about it, though, is when we talk about the voter numbers, is I think Trump makes a big hit on farmers. He makes a big hit on old Social Security recipients. I think he gets a big hit on a lot of locked in, consistent, old school ideology people. Absolutely. Or ways to where we still don't have it. Like, there's a lot of them people dying. The baby boomers are falling off rapidly. And
now this new generation is kind of slowly coming in.
It's coming, man.
It's a new kind of generation.
So that's what I'm telling people is that if we can become educated enough to hold out and just survive just another couple of years.
Just think all those freshmen that kind of came in when Trump was in office, and they just the build up on social media, the dislike for him. All those kids are now able to vote.
Bro,
guess what?
Bro,
they're not voting for Trump. I'll tell you that right now.
Absolutely.
They not voting for him, man.
So people are starting to see through those things. So everybody, prep yourself. Be able to vote. Go vote.
Absolutely, go vote.
Even if there's not a
and not just the presidential vote. Vote locally, please, man. Please vote locally.
Let's get more Black and African American people in the seats that can actually make a change. Let's get bills and laws changed and passed. Let's get this reform with the police department passed and make that a big deal.
Absolutely.
But if we're not in these seats, simply protesting out front of the courthouse doesn't do it. It doesn't. Now, there's some things that will stop. There's some things that will change. But I think the most powerful thing we can do is infiltrate from within. You know, when we talk about the protests back in the day, Black Panthers moved in silence, man. Our people knew what was going on, but they didn't televise. There was no way. I mean, back in the day, we didn't have all the media, right?
Right.
But there was no reason to tell people what our next move was or what their next move was.
Right.
You know, and I think that there was a lot of things that happened with the Black Panthers in a positive way for the community.
Yeah.
That happened
For
through,
sure.
that happened through fight and power, but it was moving really, really, really judicial, and it wasn't really televised of what the next move was. So we can't. Let's not be.
And that's
predictable.
happening now too.
Yeah.
I think that's happening now too.
Man.
I mean, even the Black Lives Matter movement, the whole
For
thing.
sure.
You know, like, and I'll say this: if you ever do donate money, make sure you're just do your research on who you're donating it to, who it's on behalf of, because you want to make sure it gets to the right people.
For sure.
That's all I'm gonna say.
I know Drake donated 100,000, and I'm like, I hope he donated 100 to the correct people.
Yeah, man.
I mean, because how do you know? I mean, there are some ways, but not, you know.
Yeah, but you know, you have groups like that are moving
for sure,
very, very
for
professionally, respectfully. Like, they're doing it all the right way, man.
For sure. Well, I'll give you an example, man. Is that you know, some members of my team are currently working the facilitation of the purchase of a bank to a Black entity. My point is that this entity has enough money to purchase the bank, and if the bank is purchased, now you have a safe haven for Black folks and Black Americans to feel like they can put their money and grow membership. With that comes lines of equity, loans, competitive rates and things that can really help us build some ownership and some other things and endeavors. Shout out to my brother, man. He just started his own business.
I seen that.
Yeah. So, I mean, shout out to Thompson Commercial Services. If anybody needs anything, ThompsonCommercialServices.com.
Absolutely. Get the plug in.
Absolutely. But, you know, just with that, man, let's promote these Black businesses. Let's continue to feed our Black businesses. Let's continue to open Black businesses.
Yes, sir.
Chase your dreams. Do your own thing. Be your own person. And I think now with the times we live in, and me and you grew up millennials, man, that this is the time people realize that this is the time to do those things.
And make it more fair for these Black-owned businesses, you know?
For sure.
The same grants you're giving these businesses that are downtown, like an OTR, everybody should be able to take out of that pie, and it should be spread equally, you know? So, if we can get that to happen, then I think a lot of things will start going in a good direction.
Absolutely.
For sure. But I mean, it's a big part, you know. It's something that starts just at, you know, from children all the way up, and then it gets to a point where you have to build a system, you know. You have to start within the neighborhood, you have to build the neighborhood.
For sure.
You have to protect the neighborhood.
Correct.
You know.
Correct.
And
well, that's really big. I saw a thing that was happening in Brazil. There was a village where the local gang lords kept raiding the village, you know, taking children, killing women, raping women, whatever it was, stealing food, stealing money, to the point where the men of the village had to start protecting themselves outside of the police. The police wouldn't even come in and protect them. So from the age 5 and up, these boys were learning how to use rifles, how to make spears, how to throw rocks, how to do different tactical things to protect their village. And again, I'm not saying we need to physically fight and throw rocks or do anything, but we need to protect ourselves. We need to build our community. I saw some other Jewish communities that really made me have a revelation the other day. You know, they wear the big hats and the things on their head, and they have the sideburns with the curly things and the big beards and that stuff, right? And it looks kind of goofy, and sometimes people tease and talk about, you know, Jewish this, Jewish that, they're greedy with their money. One thing I know about them is that they're very, very confident in their community, and they're safe. They spend the money with their community. They go to school with their community. They keep everything from within. So even in a place filled with hate and negativity, they still have a safe zone around their own.
Where they feel comfortable.
And I think that that's something we can learn from, man, is that there's strength in numbers, and the more unified we can become, we can really become powerful, man. And I ain't talking Wakanda, bro, but literally, bro.
Yeah, no, it's definitely understandable. A lot has been taken from Black people, man.
Absolutely.
And that's what's made it so hard as well, because you know, you want to do these things, man. I'm starting to see it. It's happening. You know, like the gentleman that owns the BP, he is Black owned, but there's not a lot, man. It's because people have come into these neighborhoods and they've put a drugstore. I mean, it's like what Chris Rock says: drugstore, liquor store, drugstore, gun store, liquor store. I'm in the hood, bro.
Absolutely.
I already know where I'm at, you know.
Absolutely.
And you see more of that than you do like a nice Whole Foods or Kroger's.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. We're definitely dealing with that.
You know, stuff like that. You know, so having those resources for a community, it's already hard. You know, healthy food. You know, there's a McDonald's or a Burger King there, and kids have to eat that. You know, and if they don't, there's a corner store where you can get candy and chips.
It's terrible.
You know.
No, so there's a lot of that.
A lot of that has to change, you know.
Yep.
Even in our community, you know, like it sucks, but there's a lot of, you know, single mother families, you know, and
absolutely.
You know, if she's working all day, all night for her children, who gonna cook, man? You know, so those kids they're eating junk, you know.
No,
there's no, you know, she has to probably drive so far to go get, you know, actually good food, you know, fresh goods, you know, potatoes, onions, carrots, you know, simple stuff like that. Good milk, not just a certain type of milk, but something that, you know, is good enough for them to have, you know, water. A lot of these things aren't even accessible. Still in the United States, you know, there's places where fresh water is still not really, you know, able to be obtained easily.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think Flint even cleaned up yet. I mean, it's still there's still a reality here, man, that there's a lot of stuff we need to clean up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff.
And that starts, and I mean, like you were saying, it starts with the voting, but, you know, these protests, man, has brought so much to light that we've always known about. We've always known about these things, but other people just, I don't want to say they didn't know, because some, it's hard to not know in these times. They just turned a blind eye. And that's just as bad as racism. Yeah. In my opinion. Yeah. That's not right.
For sure. No, and I think that I had a conversation a couple weeks ago about, you know, holding some of these bigger companies accountable. You know, Procter & Gamble and GE and all these people have these quotas that they put out every year that, you know, we hope to do this much black business and we hope to donate this much money. But man, are we really putting a microscope on that and making sure that happens? You know, making sure that they're actually benefiting these communities. Right. They have the money.
And they need to put a lot of, they're going to have to put some things in order to where this stuff is being monitored to make sure it's happening the right way. Right. It definitely needs to happen. And that's on, I mean that in the sense of not only there, but, you know, in these police units, like they're, you know, we thought body cams would work. That was a response to all the injustice. Now they're doing it with the body cams, or now they're just putting tape over the body cams. I mean, what do you actually, what do you do now, man? There's not much, I don't know much more besides just to tell this person, you don't do that. Right. And some of these people are like, they'll say, okay, and then they'll go do it again.
Oh, I mean, you have to realize, I mean, when you become a police officer, you know, you are putting your life at risk every day.
Absolutely. I'm not saying that you don't.
There is a chance that you run into something crazy.
Yep.
However,
you got to know the community, though.
There's still a process. And there is a community effect and an emotional tie to it. You know, you get some of these officers, man, that were raised in the sticks, you know, farm-raised guys, no disrespect. But then you come work in the inner city and you have no relation. Right. You know, you have no idea. Yeah. And I think that plays a big part, you know, when you make a traffic stop and you see someone who you're not familiar with from an experience standpoint. You know, you can be trained as much as possible, but I've heard this saying, and I've heard this from cops, said I've been trained as much as possible, but when it really happens out there, man, everything goes out the window. Yeah. You know, and that's unfortunate. Because they also have flight or fight and adrenaline and everything else.
That's fine, and that's fine for them to say that. You know, maybe in the sense of you thought someone had a gun, or you know you were shooting somebody, but you know when you walk somebody down the street peacefully and you get down there and then you just lay on top of them and choke them. There's not much of an argument you're gonna be able to give me besides you're racist and you don't like black people.
And you absolutely ridiculous. Well, you out of control. You out of control. Yeah, and his record says that. His record says that, and I think that should come up in court. That should come up in court.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. Like, hey, no one said red flag after maybe the third time. Like, He's potentially he's a risk. He might kill somebody when he stops them or gets in a confrontation with somebody, if he's dispatched.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
I mean, it's just every time you have to get into it with somebody, you get physical. You've shot people, and what courses has he taken since then?
Right.
I mean, that's a great question. I think for the police department is.
I bet you he's taken a gun range course. I bet you he been there.
Absolutely.
I bet you he been doing that.
Absolutely.
But besides that, anything else? Nah. He ain't done nothing else.
Well,
man,
I mean, in the city of St. Paul or Minneapolis, where it happened, are you that desperate for cops to where you guys couldn't get rid of this guy years ago on strike 2, 3?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, he got all the way to 15 and then 16 was killing a man. Like, wowzers. How did y'all get that far?
Yeah.
So.
Because he's had a lot of incidents.
Yeah, man, the Asian guy, man.
Yeah, man. I don't understand it. It's sick. It's sickening, man. It's hard to understand what Minneapolis Police Department was doing there.
Yeah. Well,
super unfortunate.
Absolutely. And it's terrible for all of the families involved, every single person. Unfortunate, and there was a life lost. And man, these police officers, bottom line, should not be determining people's fate there in the street.
Absolutely.
And that's
their day in court, man.
That's the bottom line.
That's every right of an American citizen. You have your day in court. You're innocent until proven guilty.
To be tried by your peers.
You know what I mean? And he was proven. They told him he was guilty right there and killed him. That sentence is what? No.
Unless and technically, unless someone has a gun or another weapon, and there's 5 or 4 cops on scene, no one should ever die or have to even be shot or any type of death.
Brother, he had to get patted down.
I mean, there's 4 of y'all. I mean, they had him in and out of the car. There was some footage of like maybe them beating him while he was already in the back of the cruiser. They brought him back. But they brought him back out. He was already
for
cuffed.
What?
Man,
for what?
It was a whole lot of wreck.
Like, I will understand. No, I don't even want to say that. I wouldn't even understand if he did this. But let's just say he would. From the time they went down to confront him, he started fighting and doing all that. It still wouldn't have equaled, him getting choked for 8 minutes. Get him calmed down. Put him on the curb. He's
Absolutely.
cuffed.
Yeah.
He's cuffed. He can't hit you. He won't even be able to kick you if you sit him down on the ground. You know what I mean? You put him in the back of the police car. I don't know, man. Like,
they sat there for.
They
9
made it
minutes
seem impossible
and hanging out.
He had his hands in his pockets.
I mean, I don't know what they
were
doing.
Who the hell puts their hands in their pockets? What type of just excuse me, what type of shit do you have to be on to have your hands in your pockets?
For sure.
And just looking, and it's almost like he tried to channel all his weight onto his neck by putting his hands in his pockets. And I feel like that's what happens when you do that. When you're trying to balance yourself, usually, you do this, or you could do it with your hands like real close to you. And I feel like he was just trying to kill him, man. He had to,
Well, I mean, we were dealing with one sick individual. And I truly believe he's going to get what he deserves. And I think everybody sees that this was dead wrong. I've seen cops.
If you're for him, you are an idiot.
Oh, absolutely.
No one's going to be for him. So you know what they're going to do? They're going to put him under the jail.
For sure.
He's gone.
And if you are for him, you'll be exposed.
Oh, yeah.
And people will see
Definitely
that.
will.
So, I've seen a lot of hate.
But put all 4 of those cats. Well, let me ask you this. So the Asian guy that was just standing there, you think they all should get the equal sentence? Man, or do you think his? I think his might be the shortest out of all of the 4 included.
Because he wasn't physically on him.
Right. I think if you were on his chest, I think they'll at least get 2 people with the equal amount, because the chest was being on his back was just as bad as being on his neck.
For sure.
So I think you can get him there, but you're cutting off circulation all the way down to his feet.
For sure.
So you could get the 3rd as well.
Right.
But what do you think? How do you think they should go about doing this?
It's very tough because I've seen all kind of outcomes with the law and understanding how the law works. So I don't know exactly how this will turn out. But what I know is, and one of the other things, and this is a big question, and this is back to trusting your brother in the locker room, right? How far do you let it go? How involved are you?
Right.
So when you get those 2 veteran guys, where the Asian guy has 9 marks on his record,
he ain't gonna do none,
and the other dude has 15 on his record, you got 2 guys that are willing to push it to the limit.
Yeah, you make a good point.
Now, I heard today when the one gentleman that said that he was just following kind of the veteran role or lead,
Mm-hmm.
he said something about, or there was some mention that during the video or the body cam or some recording that was in court, that you could hear him say something to the effect of, "This isn't right. Y'all shouldn't be doing this."
Who was that again?
The black guy. His name was the black cop, young dude, 26 years old with the beard, Jay Alexander or whatever his name was. Man, I'll pull it up. But yeah, he said something to. Yeah, his Jay Alexander Coing. He was the African American gentleman who was 26 years old. That was there on scene. So there was the two white cops, the Asian guy, and then this gentleman who was the youngest of all of them, I believe. 4 days on the job. But I think that there was something about that they heard on video or audio him saying, "This isn't right."
Do you know if they were wearing body? Did they have body cams?
I don't know exactly if
Does
they.
Minneapolis
I don't
have
know
body
if
cams?
they had them. Here it is. It says, and this is on MSNBC, but it says that he hadn't even completed his third full shift as an officer when this arrest occurred. Oh, he was heard saying, "You shouldn't do that," is what he said during the arrest at some point. So I don't know if it was audio confirmed.
We need to see all the records.
For sure.
It's all going to have to come out. It's going to be public record because too much stuff going on, man.
For sure.
Way too much stuff going on.
Like,
and it seems like it's the root is very deep.
Oh,
It seems very deep. It's deeper than just these police officers.
Well, and really these guys that were 4 days on the job, I don't know the extent of their training.
Mm-hmm.
But it is unfortunate that their fourth day on the job, this had to occur. I don't care how old a person is. I respect all my elders and my veterans. But I'm not going to lay on somebody's back just because I feel like that's what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm going to do what's right in me.
Yeah,
so if you do that,
things.
There's something inside of you that needs to be exploited. And the Asian guy who was just standing there, back to your point, is how is this going to be broken down? Obviously, I think the Chauvin guy needs to have the deepest of the extent. His knee was on dude's neck.
Yeah.
And Mr. Floyd didn't deserve that. But the Asian guy didn't step in and say, "Hey, man, that's too much."
You think part of getting those guys, the rest of them locked up, you think Chauvin had anything to do with that? Like, as far as you think they've already, interrogated him, just asked him
I don't
questions?
know what backstory there is, and I don't, I haven't.
Because, when they brought him in, they're obviously asked him questions.
For sure.
How did this happen? You have to write a statement.
Oh, yeah. Did
any of the officers say anything else to you? That kind of thing. So it would be interesting to know.
I think there's going to be a lot of backstory to it. I don't know what the relationship was even with Chauvin and the other people. I feel like him and the Asian guy might have worked together for a while.
Well, they said him and George Floyd worked together too.
Yeah, but you know what? When I was
at a nightclub,
the same nightclub owner was who I was talking about earlier. That said that she had conversations with Chauvin before, that he was very unnecessary with some of his acts there. She said that although they did work together because he was a cop working detail, Floyd was a bouncer type. That they didn't cross paths too much to the point where he would have recognized him like, "Hey, what's up, George?" However, that was her piece. Who knows what other business they might have done or had together, right? And there's a lot. I mean, and I've seen movies, and there's a lot of stuff that's going on that is foul. But who knows what type of business they had together, man?
Right.
And maybe this was a vendetta. Maybe this was some type of revenge.
And that would be first degree, premeditated.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
From the time he walked up and seen it was him to the time he was passed away.
For sure. There could have been some backstory beef or something, but I don't know how we'll find out and if it will come out. But again, I don't know if these other officers that were 4 days on the job would have had any idea. You know what I mean? I don't know, because again, they're 4 days on the job. I don't know how long they had been with Chow Ming or whatever his name was and Chauvin, but my point is that these guys were there.
Right.
And they didn't stop it.
You're just as responsible.
They didn't stop it.
They would do the same if, someone robbed the bank, you were the getaway driver. You're still getting accessory to
Absolutely.
burglary or whatever. They do this all the time.
You didn't stop it. And there's enough to put that, I think that they've been they were brought in and charged. Yep. But there was enough to do so.
Plenty of evidence.
And the prosecutor is not going to do that unless there's enough.
And that's what I was saying. I think he had enough there to at least he could do that. So
sure. Yeah, I'm anxious to see.
Yeah, definitely. But let's get into one of our last topics for today, and it's just because we're getting a lot of news about it, and it's something me and you enjoy in sports. NBA is coming back July 31st. They had the proposal 2 days ago.
Yep.
They voted it in yesterday evening.
Yep.
I believe it's 22 teams.
Yep.
So the rest of them guys don't even come.
Yep.
Don't even show up.
Yep.
Don't come here.
Yep.
So we got that. And they started explaining how it was gonna work. So you have your I think there's 8 regular season games that they'll play. And after that, I guess the 8th seed, if for the teams that are actually close, this is all this really matters for. Everybody else, the hell with them, they're gone.
Yeah.
But for like the 9th, 10th, especially in the West, this only really matters in the West. It's crazy because they only invited like the 9th seed from the East. Right. That's it. The rest of them from the East aren't even coming.
Right.
The West is jam packed with people competing all the way down to like the 12th spot.
For sure.
So what happens is the 8th seed, if you're within 4 games of the 8th seed, you have to play a play-in game.
Right.
So in this play-in game, if you're the 8th seed and you beat the 9th seed, you win, you're into the NBA playoffs. If the 9th seed wins, then they have to play one more game. They play a final game. And then whoever wins that is into the tournament.
Right.
So, you're getting mixed responses from some people. Most of the players are agreeing, but you got people like Trailblazers. They really weren't rocking with it because it doesn't favor them, and they already played the hard part of their regular season schedule, and the tail end was going to push them forward. So, it's interesting to
well, I think what's cool about it is that it's really fair from the jump, right? Mm-hmm. So, regardless of what you've done before, and it is tough I think all of it's going to be tough to even restart. Yeah. So be able to stop mid-season.
Yeah, going down to Florida, Worldwide of Sports. What's up? Like, how do you think they're going to operate all that?
That's a huge adjustment, man. I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see how they do that down there at Disney World. I think it's cool that they're doing it there.
Is Disney open? Are they closed still?
Not till July 15th, I think.
Okay. I just seen something like Orlando Studio. What is that? Orlando Universal Studios. Yeah. I think they just opened like today or something like that.
Yeah, I think they're on a little different schedule than Disney. Mm-hmm. But Disney was talking about, I think, July 15th, something like that. So, but it'll be cool, man. And I think it's, like I said before to your earlier minutes, in favor that NBA was able to work out something with Disney, ESPN, and they say, hey, here's a way to kind of salvage some of the last couple of months for you guys and make it, worthwhile for us and our fans.
Yeah, I think ABC played a big part. Definitely.
For sure. No, well, I mean, like I said, I think it'll be a clean slate. Everybody kind of goes in tournament style.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, man, right now, let's go.
You got a favorite?
And there's a chance. You know what? I'm still a Boston guy. I think Tatum and those guys, man, are young and strong. And again, that's just on the East Coast side. Again, you got the Lakers. They're strong. Clippers strong. I mean, it's crazy in the West, man.
West is stacked, bro.
It's crazy.
Like, let's just take a look at the West. You got Lakers, Clippers, and they're 5.5 back. Nuggets, Jazz, Thunder, Rockets, Mavericks, and then you got the Grizzlies at the 8th spot. And then you got the Trailblazers right behind, and the Pelicans. They're right back there too. So, man, like,
yeah, man. I mean,
I don't know, man. I'd love to see Ja Morant in that 8th spot. I'd love to see Zion as well. I'd love to see Melo as well.
Man,
You know?
Yeah.
That's how loaded that is.
It is tough, man.
That's why I wish they would have fixed it. Like,
or in the West, yeah.
Just made it all a big tournament. Forget East and West and put some better teams in there. Cause
I think the biggest thing we learned from this whole COVID epidemic, man, was the fact that we can be more flexible with some of the things that we do, right? A lot of people are working from home. A lot of people are on the go.
Yep.
But I think as far as sports goes, man, a lot of these schedules can be modified.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at just the All-Star game alone, they've went to the kind of captain, pick a team type of deal, draft. That's super cool, man. And I think a lot of people like that type of thing.
NBA is super innovative.
So, and I think a lot of leagues need to do that.
And that's why the NBA is like, they have the most followers on Instagram and all that. Their athletes do. They have more than the NFL because, when you think of the NFL, it's about the team more than the player. So it's gonna defer, but still they're doing a great job, man. They're doing a phenomenal job.
Absolutely.
But back to just looking at these teams. I'm looking in the East, and you got the Bucks up top.
Yep.
I think the Raptors are going to be a sleeper. I think they're going to come on.
I believe
in
that,
them playoffs.
I believe that, yeah.
And let them mess around and play the Lakers. It would be fun to see. Celtics, like you said, it might be your favorite. And when I heard that, I'm like, let them get hot. Let them get hot. And, it might be something to play with.
They got some power, man.
The Heat, too. Don't sleep on the Heat.
No, the Heat
Please don't.
The Heat are tough.
Yeah, you got the Pacers, the Sixers. I didn't know they were so low. The Nets. I'm going to bring up the Nets real quick. We got KD, and you got people talking about he might mess around and come back.
Yeah.
Because I already heard they were like, no, he's not going to do it. And that was earlier on, but I don't think they thought this was going to go this far to the point where it's damn near going in the next season where he would be playing.
They done gave bro some extra time.
They like, hey.
Yeah, come on, get the contract
money.
They
like, hey, bro, what type of story you want to write? That you sat down, you was hurt, coronavirus hit,
man,
you came back, and y'all just started thrashing.
Hey, I'm telling you, man, there could be some real live action going on with that. I mean, he come back fresh.
Love that. I would love it. I would love it.
If he comes back fresh, man, it could be really exciting to see what they do.
Yeah,
it can be.
I would love to see it. I mean, if I'm a betting man, though, I might tell him, hey, man, you didn't plan on playing this year. Just sit it out. Just sit it out. Like, if I'm a little worried, if it's in the back of my mind,
for sure,
I might have to tell him to sit out, But it would be amazing. I would. I'm telling you, man, you want to get viewers, and we were talking about it earlier. How do they show all these games? It's like an AAU tournament in the summertime.
Yeah, it's crazy.
We have worldwide sports.
Right.
You got teams coming on and on.
Probably, it's crazy.
And there ain't no entrances. They probably just coming on with their backpacks like they was in high school.
They high five and they
probably got the headphones on, doing all that.
Man,
like
it's gonna be
like a summer league.
Right.
Like a summer league game. So
no, it'll be cool.
I want to see how they gonna show it. They gonna put it on ESPN like I asked you before, or should they do like a Disney Plus package and hook it up?
Yeah. It'd be exciting to see, man. I'd love for Disney to do something. If Disney did something, man, even if it was an extra couple bucks, man, that'd be cool. And even if it's on ABC on the weekends or something like that, man, I'm good to see.
Yeah.
I'll watch 6 hours of basketball on a Sunday. I do it for football.
And I told you, we haven't seen anything in so long, bro. People are dying for like live entertainment. Give me something. Man,
it's like March Madness, man. They running 12 games back to back. I'll
be ready. Yes. I'll be super ready, man. Like
I'm with it.
I'm hyped now. When they said July 31st, I'm like, what? Like,
yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm ready for this to hit off.
Cool.
So
and one of the things, man, I was just thinking about, man, is how serious do these guys get? It's one thing to, like I said, stop mid-season, come back ready.
Have they been eating right?
But now you're down there at Disney, right? Playing at one facility.
In the summer, it's hot.
I mean,
this is an AAU tournament.
At night they clouded in the hotels, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Literally.
Like, so how serious are these guys to continue to play at a level to where it feels like it's the playoffs?
The top 4 teams will. LeBron gonna figure out a way to get his team right, and he'll probably get them like some extra treatment, like just on his behalf, and spending some money to get them whatever they need. Whatever access, and then to blindly keep them away from everybody once the playoffs start. Because he goes dark mode once playoffs start. You know that. So it's gonna be interesting to see what some teams do, how they treat it. Who's gonna spend some money, you know what I mean, who's gonna be out there fooling. They really can't leave though. I heard.
No, they're there.
They're like
man.
quarantined,
they're locked
bro.
in, bro.
So how that?
So it's
how
gonna
that
be.
work?
It's literally.
I want to know what
camp.
hotels they staying at.
They're at one of the resorts.
They gotta be like right there next door.
Yeah, they're at one of the resorts, the Wynn Hotel, something
That's a
like
lot
that,
of teams,
bro.
though,
Just
bro.
chilling, man.
That's a lot of teams.
Just hanging out,
That's a lot of
clowning.
teams.
It's literally like a baseball tournament,
Yeah.
a hoop tournament, whatever. They're just out there clowning.
Yeah.
So that'll be exciting to see, man. It'll be fun for them, like the Olympics almost, man,
Yeah.
where you just chilling,
Mhm.
hanging with your people
Yeah.
at night.
And what's so crazy is, bro, all the scouts. This is what they love.
Oh yeah,
They don't have to travel. They don't have to record games.
Oh, yeah.
They're all right there.
they get a hotel too.
They all get to watch the game. The players can watch the live film tape. They're
Yep.
right there. So it's gonna make it interesting. Teams gonna have to come prepared. You know.
Yeah, Disney done turned up for this, man. NBA.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to them, man.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's
Shout out to the the NBA and Disney, for just doing a lot, man. They didn't have to do this. They
No.
definitely didn't.
No, they made that happen.
And shout out these players that's
Oh,
agreeing
yeah.
to this because, I think some of them get to bring a little bit of family down, not a lot. So they're risking their careers with this health hazard. So I think we should commend them, man. And then for the rest of the guys that this didn't even get to make the trip,
For sure.
hey, see you in December.
Adios.
December 1st.
Right.
So, they've pushed back all the dates for the draft, lottery, off-season, trades, free agents. Like, we got to remember this. Usually around this time, let's think, about what, July, going into 4th of July and all that, you had KD saying, I'm going to the Nets.
Yep.
So this is all getting pushed back.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
yeah,
this stuff still has to happen.
This is definitely giving them some time.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I'm loving it all, man. I can't wait. I don't know who I have winning this. I mean, if the Lakers come back out how they was playing before this stopped, I don't see nobody touching them.
Yeah.
Maybe the Clippers get, once they get into the playoffs, and I want you to come back onto the show. It was a pleasure having you here, so we could talk about it more. Once they actually we figure out the
For
playoff
sure.
seeding,
Absolutely.
which I don't think is going to change much. They're only playing 8 more regular season games.
Right.
They'd have to lose every game, and the Clippers would have to win at least
For sure.
5.5, 6 games.
Right.
So
Right.
I don't think much is going to change. It
Nah.
could. You never know. Some guys might come out, slow, and who knows? But
It may be a benefit to everybody, man.
Yeah.
I mean, to get a break like that, reboost your body.
you seen James Harden,
Some
man?
of these guys been grinding.
You see James Harden?
Nah,
How he
dude,
looking, man?
nah,
He's skinny, man.
Oh man.
Skinny, but he looks good skinny though.
Right.
Like built, like
Right.
he been working,
A little
man.
more
So
elusive, a little quicker.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
may
yeah.
be good. And LeBron and those guys are dedicated.
mhm.
They never stop grinding, man. So
Absolutely.
I think that they're all gonna come back just like they left.
Mhm.
And even better. So we'll just see how some of these guys who, we'll see how some of these guys who don't work as hard,
Yeah.
how they pan out.
And they usually are not playing this far into the season. A lot of these
For
guys,
sure.
LeBron does, but
sure.
a lot of these other teams, they never play this far. So we'll have to just wait and see. So July 31st. I can't wait, man. But
That'll be cool, man.
yeah. With that being said, man, I think we're getting ready to wrap this up. Marcus, you got anything you want to tell the world? Any kind of plugs, anything like that?
Man, I was just gonna say again, man. My brother started his own business,
Mhm.
Thompson Commercial Services. Make sure you tune in to him, for any building service or needs,
Mm-hmm.
mainly cleaning, floor work, anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Big shout out to all my friends and family.
Oh,
man.
yeah. Shout out to
people
everybody.
Like you, man. I mean, that's why I'm here.
Oh, yeah,
that's
for
why
sure.
I'm here, and I'm the person I am because of the people I've surrounded myself with.
Absolutely.
The environment I was blessed to be in. So I definitely appreciate my people, and shout out to my wife. I love you. You're
Absolutely.
doing your best, man, with the kids.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm proud of you and the woman you've become. I love you, boys. And let's just keep it rocking, man. I hope everybody prosperity, peace. Everybody stay safe. And let's continue to move the dial as a community.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Well, we appreciate you having you here on the the Unanimous Table Talk podcast. I mean, I'd like to just formally tell the world like you're a part of the Unanimous team now. You know
For
what I
sure.
mean? We can have you
Absolutely.
on. About a lot more sports and
Absolutely.
anything else that's going on, man. We gonna be doing a whole lot. So
Absolutely. Again, blessed to be here, man. And I love to be back. So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For
So
sure.
with that being said, everybody, thank you for coming in, watching. I see the chat was going a little crazy. We didn't get to, read all that because we were so in tune to what was going on, man.
Absolutely, but we see you.
Yeah, for sure. We see y'all. We thank y'all. I seen a lot of y'all coming in and out, man. I really appreciate you guys coming in. Like I said before, y'all got me to 100 likes on Facebook. We're about to do the same thing with YouTube. And we're about to do a giveaway. Y'all got me to 100. We doing a giveaway. I'm doing shirts. We doing hats, cups, anything you can think of, man. We doing all that, man. We going to do giveaways. We going to be everywhere. Once we get out of this COVID situation, you're going to see a lot more people here. We're going to be doing a lot more things. We got a lot more, like, shows. We're having people call in, do all the cool stuff, man, because that's what this is about. This is a platform I'm giving to people like myself, like you.
Absolutely.
People, that I like inquiring minds, like this is just what it is,
For sure. It's fun, it's free, it's fresh, and we going to talk about things, man, and keep it real. We're not going to, ever put any type of, hard spin on nothing, man. It's just all love.
Yes, sir.
So, that's the best part, man. So, I hope to, like I said, prosperity and peace for everybody, man. Everybody just stay safe and tune in. Unanimous.
Yes, sir. Tune in to Unanimous, powered by Unanimous. We'll be back on, I believe, Saturday at 12 for another Table Talk podcast episode. But with that being said, good night, people.
Absolutely.